I am with Kevin Frost, who's just back from Cranbrook, British Columbia, the 2024 Blind Canadian Championships. He is the author of a book, Deaf Blind Champion, and he is here at the Bob McQuarrie Recreation Complex, where he is a local celebrity in both golf and speed skating. He's played a lot of other sports. How does it feel to get another championship victory?
It's actually after a long winter and preparing for it. I went to Ohio in June. We won that event too, so that helped me to conquer the Canadian Blind Championship with over 50 golfers. So it was a great experience. It's very hot. Of course, Woody was with us, and I had my guide Loretta, who was by my side to watch the golf ball because I don't get to see the ball.
Yeah, that seems like it would be quite a task playing golf with your disability. How did you get involved in doing that?
So after competing in speed skating, rowing, tandem cycling, I decided to conquer blind golfing, and I just wanted to try it out. Went to Ontario Blind Golf and got some guidance to play it. And 7 years later, I've able to accomplish quite a bit with blind golfing. But the most important thing of blind golf is we need a guide. Our guide is our eyes. So when I go up to the tee, the only thing I can see is the ball on the tee because I have 3% tunnel vision, and I hit the ball and I don't look where the ball goes. I look back at my coach to see what kind of shot I had.
And as far as your dog here, this dog is named Woody, correct?
Yes, so Woody's my third service guide dog. He was by my side. He actually just sits with me in the cart, and he's always by my side.
Now, is it a transition when you switch dogs because your other one retired a couple of years ago? Does it make it more difficult?
Doing the transition service guide dog, they all have amazing talent. They have a lot of common denominators on what they do for us. So I had Nemo, a black lab, Lewis, a yellow lab. Now I got Woody, who's a labradoodle. So he's been doing really well. 3 months ago, he prevented me from being hit by a car. So needless to say, he's already done his job.
And as far as when you started to lose your vision, did you ever have better vision, or was it something you had to adapt to, or was it pretty much like this from the time you were young?
Yes, so I have Usher syndrome. So Usher syndrome means you lose your hearing young, which means I have 9% vision right now. And at age 30, I lost my vision, lost my job, lost my license. It was a traumatic change. It was a tough depression, but I did have vision. So I was driving. My night vision was terrible. So it's probably good that I got off the road because there were some scary moments on the road that I can recall.
And I guess it continued to deteriorate since then.
Yes, so when I was diagnosed, I had about, I think about 19%, and 25 years later, I have 3% tunnel vision. I always say it looked like looking through McDonald's straws. That's my reality, so that's why I have a service guide dog. And with my hearing, it makes it very challenging because I can't hear as well, so I lip read in the tunnel vision I got left.
And as far as speed skating, how did you get into that?
So speed skating was after my diagnosis. I've always wanted to be a speed skater, and I had a wonderful coach, Mike Rebay from the Canadian system. He volunteered his time to help me become a three-time world champion in short and long track. I have 9 world records. So it's been pretty fascinating. Some people ask me, how do you speed skate because of your dual disability? Well, great question. So in the blind world, it's all about memory, same pattern. We do the same thing outside, and I did the same thing on the ice. So on short track, I would do 2.5 straightaways and two and a half crossovers. So I would count my strides, and my coach would communicate through the FM system in my hearing aid to attack every corner. And that's in short track. And long track with a 400-meter track, and he would communicate through the FN system. So I would do 9 straightaways, 7, 8 crossovers in the corner. You couldn't hit the cones, you'd be DQ'd. So needless to say, it's been pretty challenging. I've been DQ'd, disqualified, but like any athlete, you have to learn from your falls, you got to learn from your pitfalls, you got to learn from all the things that make you better, and little by little, being a world champion 3 times was a great accomplishment. What's more fascinating is I was able to compete with the able-bodied athletes, and I think my last World Cup was 2018. I finished 7th in the world, so against able-bodied. So kind of a cool experience, very, very supportive. So I can't ask for a great speed skating career.
And what are some of your accomplishments in golf?
Repeat the question, sorry.
What are some of your accomplishments in golf?
Accomplishment in golf would be I won provincial twice. I've won Canadian twice. Won in Ohio. Came 3rd in Texas, and I was actually in South Africa at Worlds, and I came 7th in the world. But personally, I thought I could have done better. But it's a different kind of pace setting when you go to a world level. So those are my huge gains, and golfing's unpredictable. As a golfer, you know, one day you can do really well, the next day you're like, oh my God, like what's going on? So the same thing with sighted and a blind golfer. That's kind of how we do it. So again, when I'm golfing, when I'm on the green, I can't see the hole, but my guide lines me up because I can't read the slopes. And they turn my club and I hit the ball and hopefully it goes in.
And what's been some of the most difficult transitions from losing your sight? What were, obviously when it first started to happen, as you said, it's traumatic, but is there anything that stands out other than, you just mentioned getting hit by a car almost?
Yeah, so to back up a little, it all started with the hearing, so I taught myself how to lip read because my audiologist realized I taught myself how to lip read at a young age. And also being a referee, oddly, for 20 years before I lost my vision, it was a good thing because I wouldn't wear my hearing aid when refereeing, so I had a high tolerance. But back to the vision transition, losing your night vision in your 20s and then being told you have Usher syndrome, and mentally it's pretty draining. And I'm a very positive person. I always say every time you receive a negative, give back on a positive. And it's trying to find that how to create a beautiful state of mind by connecting the dots. And I always say, if you can create that, you can overcome anything. So needless to say, I've had many falls. I've had many times I've walked into a post. I've had many times I fell down the stairs when I had my cane, but now having a service guide dog, he's given me my independence back, so build that confidence back. And I do, I've done over 400 presentations around the world to motivate people, to teach them how to get through hurdles. Well, I have 2 disabilities, and I'm helping people with 5 senses to get through their mental hurdles in life. And I think I'm able to share my story to change people's lives. And I always say every day is a great day because you just never know what you're gonna encounter. And doing presentations, I do Zoom presentations, I train the Ottawa Police and the firemen how to deal with deaf and blind people. I've done missions for 25 years in Mexico and Nicaragua to find kids who were deaf who couldn't afford hearing aids, and I came back to Canada, raised funds for the Lions Foundation, and now we have 29 kids that I was able to help hear again, and those missions made me who I am. I realized how grateful to be a Canadian, how we're so fortunate to live where we are, because going on a mission, everybody should do it. It changes your life.
As far as your training, I know you lift weights almost every day. Yeah. What is your training like?
Well, transforming from a speed skater to a rower to a runner and tandem cycling, they all have different dynamics, but the base is it's consistency and knowing your threshold of a sport you're doing. Where in blind golf, when you do 4 to 5 rounds, it's a 4-hour day, 4.5-hour day. So it's a different kind of endurance. And I kind of focus more on just stretching a lot. Stretching, we all need to do. It's so important. It's boring, but you know what? It's the foundation of why I can accomplish what I do. And I can't emphasize enough. So basic training, I do like half an hour, 45 minutes on the rate, then I go jump on a bike and do some cardio for half hour, 45 minutes, and back to the basics of stretching. You know what? If everybody stretches every day, you'll live for a long, long time.
Interesting. Do you do yoga as well, or is it more sports stretching. Do you do yoga as well, or is it more
Actually,
sport?
I did yoga for a short time, but I've taught myself with the great people who I've been with how yoga is kind of, I don't do the classes, oddly, because I can't hear the instructors. So I kind of taught myself the stretching techniques. So I do 10, 15 minutes, and it's so important to everybody. Even if you're not an athlete, just stretch. Go for your walk 3 or 4 times a week. You don't need to be a marathon to stay in shape. Just create good habits and always stretch. And make sure you drink a lot of water. It's just basic thing. We always go back. Every time I start my golf season, because we're off in the winter, I gotta go back to the basic, go back to the fundamentals in every sport that I've been. Going back to the fundamentals of everything we do in life, like when you're traveling the world as a businessman, yeah, everybody has a routine to follow. And when you follow that routine, they stick to it. But problem is, what I found is a lot of people don't know how to think outside the box when you have a problem. So in my presentation, I teach people how to do that. So it's kind of fascinating. I always share with people, you know, like I could have a $300 watch and you could have a $3,000 watch that tells we both tell the same time. You know, you can also have a $10,000 car or a $100,000 car. We both get to the same place at the same time. And best of all, if you were to fly first class and I fly econo, when the plane goes down, we go down together. But it's fascinating how people forget the simplicity of life. We all live in a box. So what I mean is, why do we all live in a box? Because that's how we're trained. So I'll give you an example. We're looking on our phones every day, that's a box. We look on our computer, that's a box. We drive in a box. When you go home, you live in a box. When you travel the world, you fly in a box. When you land, you go into a hotel in the box. Everything goes great until there's a problem where we gotta think outside the box. And that's where I'm able to achieve what I did with 3 senses. I understand life will always have hurdles, but finding the way to climb that mountain. You fall down, you gotta get back up to reach the top. You know what? When I get to the top of the mountain, there's another one. So being deafblind has taught me how to be a very strong person with great people. My gym is my therapy, it's my mindset, it creates confidence.
And as far as your book, what motivated you to write a book?
Yeah, so great question. I wanted to teach people how, being deafblind, I was able to accomplish what I did and why I do so many speaking engagements, because maybe somebody can learn something from the book. And you can get my book on Amazon, you can get my book on Barnes & Noble, and Find a Way Voices is the audio book. And what's fascinating is all the book sales, all the audio book, all go back to my service guide dog, Canadian Guide Dog for the Blind. Because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my 3 dogs. So I could never afford the dogs. So I thought my book talked about giving. So I want to give back. People who buy my book, proceeds go back to my Service Guide Dog Association. So it's a fascinating way to live, and that's one of the reasons why I wrote my book.
And where can people buy the book if they want to pick it up?
So if you go on Amazon and Google Deafblind Champion, same thing on Barnes & Noble, and Find a Way Voices audiobook, you can purchase that on it, and I guarantee you'll enjoy the book. I've sold over 4,000 books in 2 years, so obviously. And you know what? I just want people to read the book and pass it on to somebody going through a tough time.
As far as your family relationships and everything, how did your disabilities affect that? Were they always pretty supportive, or?
Yeah, you know what? Growing up, being deaf, and then losing my vision, the kids were, they had to adjust themselves too, and they used to throw funny tricks on me too. They used to move chairs around, and I'd walk into it, or I'd fall down, and sometimes my kids would really oddly, there at nighttime, they know I can't see that they put baby on the toilet bowl ring. I would sit down and I'd fall off. So my kids were always joking with me. So they learned how to interact with a blind and deaf person, and they grew off, and now they're 28, Madison, Montana 26, and Mitchell will be 24. So they're all on their own doing what they do, and they have a very understanding of what a blind person and deaf person, because they live with me. So that everybody has their own journey to conquer.
So you were married, I guess. Are you still married?
Actually, I was married for 11 years and went through a divorce and had 2 more long relationship. And then last year I married Loretta. I've been with her for 7 years, and it's going great. You know, she accepts me for who I am. And what I can share is, for people who are looking for a relationship or looking for a marriage, we all know it's not going to be perfect. But what I like about me and Loretta is she knows my weakness, I know hers, and she worked with me with my disability. She's learning how to make it life more simple. And I always say, you hear it from me a lot, every day is a great day, and because you just never know. Like I say, back last November, I almost got hit with a hit and run, and my service guide dog saved me from being hit and possibly killed. So I mean it, everybody, just when you're out there driving, just pay attention to people who have disabilities because things can happen in a split second.
What kind of training do these dogs have to go through before they can be passed on to you?
You know what, being a service guide dog will go live with a family for 1 year as a puppy walker. So you'll see them walking with a cape and they'll do the basic training, and after 1 year they go back to a guide dog school and they train there for another year and a bit. And then what happens is the guide dog users like myself apply for the dog and they try to find the match. So they want to have a match, they don't want to give Kevin Frost a slow dog, I like a fast dog, so I got Woody, he was a fast dog. So that's how they matched me. I went and lived there for 1 month, and you do everyday routine. You get up, service guide dog, you eat, you go out and do an errand, you come back, and then you do another one. So after 5 weeks, you bonded with your dog. But actually, it takes almost 6 months to a year to get your dog exactly where you want, because Woody had to get to know who I was, and I had to get to know who Woody was, even though we're very close. And I always say, your dog is your best friend. So I can't thank enough for what Canadian Guide Dog for the Blind had given me my independence back, and I'm just very fortunate that people know who I am. I'm always a bubbly, happy person, and I always try to joke around. So those are things to remember in life.
And you mentioned you traveled to South Africa for athletics. You just came back from British Columbia, the other side of Canada. Who funds these trips for you to compete? Do you have sponsors?
Yes, so with the help of Lions Foundation, they make donations to me, and some people who in the family and friends like to help out. So I'm very fortunate to Lions Foundation, the sponsors that I have who donate funds to me, and I'm very fortunate for what they believed in me, and I've been very, very gifted to what I was able to accomplish in 5 different sports. And without them and the Lions Foundation, the Lion Clubs, I wouldn't be able to accomplish who I am. So that's how I was able to fund these with donations.
So you mentioned 5 different sports. There's golf, rowing, speed skating. What are the other 2?
There was tandem cycling and track, and all of them. So rowing, I was in a 4 boat. I was in speed skating. I would skate by myself with the FM system, and running, I did 200 and 1500. Had a guide with me. Tandem cycling, I was on a long bike. I was on the back. You don't want me in the front because the bike's gonna crash. So it's in tandem cycling, I was able to become number 2 in Canada in the velodrome and road racing. So it was very fascinating. And then I transferred to blind golfing. So it's been a great journey. One thing that's under my new belt, possibly blind curling, but we'll wait and see.
Oh boy, yeah, that's quite a popular sport here in Canada.
Yes, it is.
So where could people follow you on social media if they want to look up more information?
Yes, so if I have a website, it's www.deafblindspeedskater.com, and it's all up to date. It's all what I've accomplished, what I've all my stories, if you want to get information for a presentation for your company, a presentation for your school or your business, done them all the above, and that's the best way to track me down. And my email is frostkevin67@gmail.com. If you'd like to send me a message, again, it's frostkevin67@gmail.com. If you'd like to reach out to me that I can help somebody who's going through a health crisis, and especially in the deaf and blind world, or if you want to reach out to me for a presentation.
What would be the biggest advice to you to people going through depressions?
You know what? I've been there. I've been in the dark hole, and in my case, I was a workaholic before everything happened. So remember who your family is. Remember what the things that did make you happy, and you go into a black hole, and it sets with an ugly feeling. But you gotta pick up the pieces of things that you gotta try to keep busy. Don't just hibernate all the time. Do things. Go for a walk. Go to the gym. Read a book. Reach out to friends you haven't spoken in a while. These little by little, the energy will change. It takes time, and if you have a pet, that even helps more because it gets you out. But me, it was my gym. When I was low, I would go to the gym and take the frustration out on the weights. I was having tough workouts. And little by little, with the tough workouts, trying new things, try to keep busy with the help of my service guide dog, I was able to get back out of that black hole, and I'd never looked back. I've just gone forward, as you can see. So to the ones who are struggling through depression, get a chance to read my book. It'll change your life. I get emails all the time just saying thank you for what you said, because there's a lot of people who have 5 senses and they think they're having a tough time. I just say go in my shoes for a day, having 3 senses. It's a different totally work. You know, I have a hearing aid. You know, when we go into certain places, I don't hear very well, so it's not perfect, but it helps. So you gotta understand, I have a lot of limitations already versus to a person who have 5 senses. So keep busy, read books, do new things, and stay away from negative interaction, because that's what sucks the energy out of you. Don't overthink. We all overthink. I've been there. So try not to overthink. Stay away from negativity, and eventually it'll turn in your way. And best of all, in my journey, I've learned to give so much, and I can guarantee tell you that it will come back. I've experienced it, my family experienced it, my friends experienced it. They say, how is that possible? Because the more you can give, I give to help people going through different shit. If I have a chance to buy a food bank bag at the grocery store, I do it. If I have time to reach out somebody who's going through depression, like their girlfriends and wife who come and can you take my husband out for lunch? I change people's lives, and that's what I do. So keep busy, stretch, visit your friends. If you have a dog, go for more walks, and listen to music if you can. So you have to understand, when you guys listen to music, you get to hear the words. I only feel a beat. That's all so I use it for just feeling. So it's interesting in the deaf world what we can hear. So hopefully these messages, it will help you. Connecting your dots in life is so important. I finally found out what's so important in connecting the dots and how to create a beautiful state of mind. It's fascinating. And you know what? I still have some bad days, but I know how to make it a good day.
Very good. Well, I'll let you close this off. You've given us some good advice, some good messages. What's your next competition, actually, before we close this?
So my next competition will be local, will be the provincial championships in Perth, and that'll be in August. And again, it'll be about probably 15 to 20 golfers from Ontario who are participating, and we're gonna have a good time. And golf, I always say, forward and findable, and hopefully the ball goes straight for me that day. If it doesn't, somebody else will win.
Very good. So I'll let you close this off with whatever you want to tell the viewers.
So, again, when people are going through a tough time, I've climbed so many mountains in my life, being in 5 different sports, being in depression, and being a multi-sport athlete. You learn from your mistakes, just like life. You learn from your mistakes, and you always go forward. There's a principle in life to succeed. If life was perfect, it would be boring. You can have all the money in the world, it's not gonna make you happy. But if you have the power, have the money to give, to help somebody, that's the true meaning of being a champion. So at the end of the day, I'm always gonna be trying to look forward with the vision I have. And I always try to reach out to people who are going through a tough time. And if you are out there listening to me, reach out to people who are going to talk. They'll appreciate it, because someday down the road, they're gonna come back for you. That's how I got one of my sponsors, because he was going through a tough time, and he owned a big company, and he said, let me know when you're going to your competition. He said, I have the power to help. I have the power to donate some funds to you. So remember, in life, the important thing is creating that beautiful state of mind, connecting the dots in life, and life will get better.